Welcome back to Running with Coach Tori.
And Jeff.
And we are bringing you the running news from the week, whether it's to entertain you on your long run or to give you something to talk about with your running friends. It's been 2 weeks and I forget the intro to the show. We got you covered. So, first thing, I know we are like a week late on this, but we were at Grand Slam track in Philly. It was so much fun. I'm assuming that is like the first story. Do you want to just go right into it?
Yeah. Sorry. Let's jump into it. So I guess this was your first Grand Slam event. So what did you think? What did you like about the atmosphere, the crowd? Like, what was your reaction?
I mean, it was so fun. Like, as you know, I told you it was incredible. Having never been to like any kind of elite track event. I mean, I don't even really ever go to like big marathons, you know what I mean? Like never anything where there is like an elite group of people and there's people who care about what's going on, right? I mean, the biggest track meet I ever went to was probably Penn Relays, and that was, 16 years ago. So it's hard to remember. And then, college track is like very similar to high school track, depending on like how serious you are. So, I mean, it was really cool to see, those amazing athletes. And it was really cool to see like everyone, we talked about this, right? Like everyone who comes to watch, right? Like who is the crowd who comes to watch track? And there were so many different people. I mean, there was like younger kids and a coach behind us. There was like an older couple in front of us. There was a couple next to us that had like a newborn baby. I mean, and there was just like so many other random people in between. And just to see that like everyone had some kind of connection to running or like a purpose to be there instead of just like, those mainstream sports where it's like, okay, this is just like the thing our family does or a thing we do. Right. It was a cool crowd, and it definitely was fun to see. And there was some more interesting events and some less interesting events. But yeah, I thought it was so fun.
Yeah, I think it's a good point about the crowd, because I think when you go to a normal sporting event, I'll call it normal, like ice hockey or football or baseball, it's you versus the other team. So you do get sort of a very rooting interest. You didn't find that in track. I felt like it was more of a family atmosphere, like people rooting for all different athletes at different times. And certainly Sydney gets the biggest ovation, typically speaking. But there were a few other athletes that, I thought were, warmly welcomed by the crowd. It was fun. I thought overall it's a very fun experience. And they do, I think, do a really, really good job of, making it fan friendly from a standpoint of it's, 2 hours plus long. Which is fine to sit in the stadium and watch a track event. As you mentioned, like high school and college, that goes for hours, multiple hours, like 5 hours. And it's just not the same, atmosphere. So I think it was fun, and the crowd it was a good crowd. It was the front stretch and the back stretch were both filled. We were sitting on the back stretch. So I thought it was a good crowd. I did see that viewership, so on the whatever streaming service that they use, viewership was down a little bit from their first or second event to Philadelphia. So, and it's only in the 200,000 range. So I don't know. I'm not optimistic for 26, but I did love it. I did like the event. I do like what they're trying to do, and hopefully they'll give it another year or two minimum to see if they can get some legs on it.
Yeah. It's such a bummer. And I feel like with anything new, there's always just like negativity and naysayers. And I feel like we were talking about like being stuck in an echo chamber of like, whatever you hear, then you just hear the same thing. So somehow I ended up on like negative track talk or whatever on social media. And so, just seeing a lot of like, Noah Lyles saying like, it's not worth his time. And like, we have lots to say about him usually, but him going on about how it's, there's not enough money in it. It's not worth his time, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, but isn't the whole thing that it's like a lot of money? Like it's a big prize money more than normal. So, that's just like weird and annoying. And, who, and then other people just like the negativity around like the no field events. And it's like, I get it if that's your group of people and you're like left out and stuff, but it's like if everyone's like track and field is grouped together, so if people start caring about the sport as a whole, like you would hope that it kind of bleeds into your stuff as well. So it's just like a bummer that it's like, you know, negativity from the athletes who could or maybe couldn't be a part of it, but could still be like excited that they're trying something new, trying to, you know, uplift the track community, you know.
Yeah, I did see the Noah Lyles story where he said, what they offered him wasn't his value.
Yeah.
And again, he is the biggest name in certainly track and field to some degree. I mean, certainly in the sprint category. He certainly would bring, I think, more eyes to it. But I'm not a huge fan, but I do think he would be good for it. But he may be overvaluing his. Like they can't pay him a $500,000. I think that it is very good prize money, more prize money than they would get at Diamond League, more prize money than they would get probably in any other track event that they would go to. He's privileged from a standpoint of that he's got a great contract with his sponsors. So I don't know. For the athletes that were there are certainly some really big name athletes there. And am I wrong? Is the 1500 meters the best event in track and field?
I mean, I was thinking about this actually earlier too. I'm like, is it the best event or like was it the best event there? But honestly, I think so like going back to Grand Slam Philly, right? Like we talked about this, like this was a stacked field, exciting athletes that people care about, people who are willing to like put it on the line. I mean, the 800-meter guy, a rope,
The
he
rope? Yep.
like out of nowhere, right? Like no one was expecting him to hang. He did, you know, like just incredible people, right? But also just like it is a great race because it's not just like, you know, sprints, flash in a pan where you're like, oh, did they win? Okay, they did, right? Like it's still fast, quick. You get to see people make moves though. There's like that exciting finish. Like it really is like an awesome race to watch just in general. But yeah, I mean, the 1500 that day was so great. If you haven't seen it, please go on to YouTube. I'm sure it's there somewhere and watch. It was pretty great.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Rope is, he's an amazing athlete. He's a 800-meter specialist. I think he's done it the last two times where he's tried to make this big move in the 1500. And he won the 800, but he made the big move in the 1500, probably with maybe a little more than a lap to go or a lap to go. And it was just a little bit too much for him. He did get caught on the final straight, and I think Josh Kerr and Cole Hocker both passed him at minimum. I think he finished maybe fourth or fifth rope. But it did come down to Hocker and Kerr in a sprint to the finish, and it was exciting. And you're right. I think those long distance, the first 10 laps maybe or first 8 laps maybe aren't quite as exciting. For like the 3,000 or the 5,000. And the short sprints and I agree with you. It's over too quick. It's like, oh, okay, it's a photo finish, and it's a 10 seconds of excitement where I really enjoy the 3.5 minutes or 4 minutes of excitement you get with the 1500. So and again, anyway, I think that was the most memorable one for me. Is there any other events that stuck out to you that were top notch?
No, I mean that was definitely the one. Trying to think. I mean, obviously, like we were all excited to see the women's 100 meters from the hurdle standpoint, just because there was so much talk about Sydney, and then it was a little bit of a letdown from the 100-meter hurdles of like, oh, fifth, right?
Yeah.
And then to see her come in second was second, right?
Yeah, she came in second, and it was impressive what she did in the hurdle category of the 100 meters. So
And then yeah, I mean, I can't even remember now. I feel like yeah, I mean, really, it was that 1500 was great, and then the 3000. I feel like we talked about that a little bit. I don't even remember the race that much, honestly. I think we were just mostly shocked about Grant Fisher being absent, like a last minute scratch or whatever it was.
Yeah, a little hamstring issue slash I don't want to run for $50,000
Oh, did he end
issue.
up saying it was a hamstring thing? I didn't see that.
Yeah, it said slight hamstring, twinge.
Mm,
Um, something that's probably hard to verify. Again, and it may be legit. Like I don't know. I mean, it just felt like it might have been a little bit of a protest on his part. Like,
right.
you know what? I'm looking for a reason not to do this to say, hey, I'm a pretty big name for the sport for Grand Slam, and you know what? I'm not going to do it. Again, 50,000 is still a lot of money, and you know, but sometimes those things get in your head. Like I'm sure he feels a little bit slighted that that's the event that they cut, his event, and they cut the prize money in half, and not his doing. He loses half the money that he would have otherwise won. So, I mean, I felt like it was probably a little bit of maybe that more than a hamstring issue.
Yeah, or at least like, okay, I'm willing to push through some hamstring stuff,
For
knowing I'm gonna get
100,000.
this. So yeah, no, but yeah, I mean, overall, the whole thing again, it was short and sweet, but definitely worth the trip, worth going, fun to watch. You didn't even get to like the point of like, okay, is it over yet? And again, like they keep it quick, right? Like there was no award ceremony between everything, which I'm sure like some people would appreciate, but I was like, I liked the pace of it all, so it was
Yeah,
fun.
and there was some stuff that they did at the end after we leave at the last event, right? So we're there for the action. When the last event sort of concludes across the finish line, I don't even wait for the announcement. We're out. I just to avoid the traffic. But
Right.
as I was walking back from this to this past the stadium, after walking you through to your car, I came right past the stadium. They were still announcing some stuff on there, and then there were people funneling out. So that was still
Okay.
probably I don't know 15 minutes after the finish of the final race. So there were some things that happened afterwards. I did think about going to LA. I
Right.
actually looked into seeing, oh, you know what? I need a real ID, and my license expires at the end of this month. And I realized as I was doing it, my passport just expired like a week ago. So I'm like,
Oh no.
oh, there's a lot of logistics to work out in order to do that. And I'm like, you know what? It's probably not worth it. I'll check out the TV coverage and see how that is.
Fair enough. You're gonna have
Yeah.
to get a real ID eventually, right?
I will. I'm going to start working on it, but I don't know that I'm going to get it solved before. I mean, it's Grand Slam. The final one is probably 2 weeks out, maybe 3 weeks out. So I'm sure I could get it done if I really wanted to, but I'm not sure. I'm not that committed to it.
Fair enough.
All right, so that's Grand Slam track. Let's go to the next one. I got something in the world of ultra running. So Kilian Jornet. Um, He is the UTMB champ. I think 4 times from Spain. He is running Western States this year, and he's put out a call for anyone who wants to run 20 miles with him. So, like a little bit of a promotional thing um, with his sponsor that you get a kit from. I'm not sure who his sponsor was, but so he's put a call out for anyone who's qualified, first of all, and able to run 20 miles at his pace. Would you do that?
Did he say what his pace was?
He didn't say what his pace was. I mean, you can look it up. It's not, it's not marathon pace. Um, those guys run. They still run. I think I'm going to say like 7-minute miles. At times. So certainly pace that I couldn't hold for 20 miles, especially when you're talking about the terrain that they run up in Western states. Is not the easiest terrain. This is real trail running, and it's trail running up mountains.
Wow. Years and years and years ago, I'd seen, I don't remember who it was or if it was even anybody famous, but someone was looking for pacers for some kind of ultra event and same kind of deal, like, 20 miles at a time or whatever. And I was thinking like how fun that would be and like what a cool adventure. Um, but now obviously like logistically doesn't make sense. Definitely can't hold that pace for 20 miles. And the more I think about it too, of like running with someone you don't know, I feel like for the first time is always so weird because you have to figure out like, do they like to listen to their music or do they want to talk to you or do they want like this or that? It's hard to know what they want to do for that amount of time that you're running together. So I feel like that would just be stressful of like, does he want me to entertain him? Am I supposed to be telling jokes? Or am I supposed to be asking how things are going? Or am I supposed to be paying attention to like what he needs? You know what I mean? Like that just, I guess that's the crazy person in me of like, I can't just have a good time. I mean, that
Yeah,
sounds
no,
cool though.
yeah, no, it does sound cool. I mean, if I was capable and qualified, yeah, I would love to run with like an elite athlete for a pacing category. Now, I think you and I would both picture sort of like, oh, getting to know this guy as you're running 20 miles and having a chit chat. I don't know that. Certainly, if I were the elite athlete, I would don't want someone I don't know being a chatty Cathy, asking a bunch of questions like, oh, so why do you do this? What are you thinking? What's your pain cave? Blah 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 blah. You know,
Yeah.
they probably just want to run and get in their own headspace. Now, again, he may be a very personable guy, and I don't know. I mean, I saw him on social media just making the announcement because he had sort of like it was like a phone ringing and you're answering the phone. It's like, hey, I'm calling to put out this request to see anyone who wants to pace me for the Western States. By the way, he did run Western States in 2011 and won. So he's highly qualified. He's at the end of his career. I think he was 23 and 11. So I think he's like 36, 37 now. Probably not necessarily in his prime. I know the prime for ultra running is a little bit longer than maybe elite marathoners or others, but certainly at the tail end of his career. Um, I don't know that he's going to win it, but certainly it's going to be in the top five, I think. So I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a cool thing. I hadn't seen anyone do that before. Apparently, you have seen someone do that before and many years ago, so it's not new. Um, but yeah, I thought that was kind of a cool concept.
Yeah, no, definitely cool.
All right, the next story I got for you is um, there's a famous rock star who is an older rock star who believes he can run the world record in the 100 meters. Do you know who that is?
No.
It is Sir Rod Stewart. So,
Okay.
um, not if you had asked me, if I had 100 chances to guess who this could be, I would not have guessed Rod Stewart as being a guy
No.
who believes he can run the 100 meters in world record time for his age category. By the way, it's just
Okay. Okay.
all right. So it is for his age category. Now, I will say he was a little misinformed. So he's currently, and again, I don't know why I would throw any shade on someone who's out running, right? So I'm gonna go with a positive twist on this one, right? So he's running a 19-second 100 meters at the age of 80, and he's hopeful that he's going to be able to get that down to 17 seconds, which his quote was, which I believe would be a world record for anyone my age. Now, unfortunately, he was ill-informed in that part, where the world record for his age category is actually like 14.2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so which was actually just recently set in October of 2024. Um, so I don't know if he's going to get down to 14 seconds. He's not going to do that. But I mean, even going from 19 seconds to 17 seconds, I got to say, by the way, at the age of 80, I don't know that you're going to get faster. I don't know that you're
Yeah.
going to take 2 seconds off your start time. So, I think he's going to be capped out in the 19-second range, is my own personal opinion. Now, I don't know how much training he's been doing, but I got to believe at 80, you're more likely to break a hip than you are to take 2 seconds off your 100-meter time.
Yeah, I mean, unless he's like straight off the couch running 19 seconds and then he starts some kind of like strength mobility routine, then like that definitely seems a little more feasible. But yeah, if he's been like trying at this running stuff, yeah, 2 seconds is a lot. And just in general, right? And then yeah, I think sometimes you do hit that, limit there.
Yeah, I must admit, I mean, I was a 100-meter man and 200-meter man in high school and college, so maybe I should start doing that. I do feel like there's a lot of risk of injury in that kind of speed. I haven't tried to run 100 meters in a long time. I would have said 5 years ago, I would have been able to do it, without an issue. I don't know, man. At 62, that I should be out there trying to do 100 meters. But maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll try. I'll look and see what the world record is for my age category, and maybe I'll look for 5 years out and see what I can do.
Yeah, I mean, those Masters events like are pretty poppin'. If you've ever watched some videos from that, I mean, you have everyone from like starting at 45 or something, all the way up to 85. And then there's some people in the 90s too. So yeah, I mean, it's worth a shot. When I was into CrossFit for, years and years ago for some amount of time, I was like, if I just get to the master's level, I have a chance of being decent. But I just have to get that old. And I'm still not that old, and I'm just continuing to get worse. So, you
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I guess the key is to focus on health. Like, so just eat right, live right, and outlive the other athletes. As that's the key to,
Yeah,
being a Masters champ.
I like it.
Yeah,
It's a good plan.
that's my goal. I'm not going to focus on training. I'm going to focus on longevity. All right. My next story is it time to ban the javelin? This was a story from a couple weeks ago, and I didn't bring it up then, but I just saw it again. I'm like, you know what? I think it's time to ban the javelin. There was a 13-year-old in Russia who was killed in a phys ed class
Oh my God.
when someone threw a javelin and it went straight through her eye. Um, it's just a tragic story of like why do we need a weapon like that? We don't leave guns laying around and have kids use them just for fun, right? It's a spear that's capable of killing someone, whether it hits them in the eye or someplace else in the body. Like, what's the purpose of this one? Like the hammer throw and the discus, in my opinion, all three. And again, banned is not the right word. I would just say they don't belong in a track and field event where there's a bunch of young other athletes who probably aren't paying attention, running around doing stuff, and these things just fly way too far for to be sort of managed safely. So I'm calling for the ban right now. This moment, we're gonna ban. We're gonna. You and I are gonna. Well, maybe me, just me. Are gonna call for a ban on the javelin as well as again the hammer throw and discus, just because of the distance they travel, and therefore further something travels, the more risk you have of someone not paying attention because they're not just focused on the fact that it's like right there.
Yeah, I think we talked about this back in the fall, on, I think it may have actually been an unreleased episode just because, I
It
don't know.
was. It was our very first episode that was never to be released. It's in the vault.
Yeah. And it was I believe it was hammer throw where someone was killed at a hammer throw event for a high school. Because again, it just went too far or too far to the side, or again, just people weren't paying attention. Um, and I think it's it's so tricky, right? Because I mean, and this you're saying is gym class, and it's like, well, yeah, and no, why are we using a weapon in gym class ever? Just because it's usually one adult, 25 kids, teenagers, it's just there's so much could go wrong. So it just is a whole other issue, I think, too. But yeah, I mean, I hate to say, throw out the field events, right? But there are things where it's like, okay, it's, rooted in tradition, all these things. But there are ways to train to do whatever that yeah, high school, college, maybe even like we don't need a bunch of high schoolers in meets where there's kids running around, not enough stuff's fenced off, not enough officials, policing the traffic. But yeah, why do we need to be doing the hammer throw? I don't really fully understand that. Like events do change also from high school into college into professional. Even those other normal quote sports like football is different from high school to college to the NFL, right? There are some different rules. There's different things from my understanding, right? So yeah, I don't really see why that couldn't be the case too, where there is just more risk than reward. And again, these people can train in a different kind of way so that maybe they look like they will be good at javelin or whatever in the future. And, you're working on your strength, you're working on technique, but you don't have to be throwing a javelin around a bunch of people who aren't paying attention until, that makes sense. You know what I mean?
No, I'm with you. And by the way, when I say ban javelin, I'm just banning them from track and field, right? So you want to have your own javelin league, you want to have your own hammer throw league, do it, go it, promote it, create it. That's fine. But it's just to me, it's really I'm not sure why it's related to track. Like I like the long jump, the high jump. I see the translation of track and field to long jump, high jump, triple jump. Um, I don't necessarily see it to like the strength um, events of the hammer throw, even the shot put. Like I mean, again, it's they're different dudes. So I just create your own league and do your own thing. Call it field events. You know what? I'm all for Grand Slam and just saying, you know what? We're just on track. We're track. We are Grand Slam track, not field, not field. So create your own field league and you can do it safely. Go for it.
All right, there you
All
go.
right, I'm off on that one. So my last thing would be it's just again I'm not sure I even want to mention this one, but I'm going to. All right,
Oh,
another
geez.
horrific idea is there's a in Las Vegas next year they're going to do sort of a like a PED. No banned substances. We're going to just let people do whatever substance they want, and then do some events. Like why? Why they're going to have swimming, some track, like a 100-meter dash, and some hurdles. They're going to have some weightlifting, and they're going to have some swimming, some short distance swimming events. Um, I why? Why do we have to have like a an event where there's no banned substances? We're going to let people just do whatever drugs they want and hold an event to see what they can do. Like it just to me it feels like it's just the worst idea in the world. Is there's a reason these things are banned, not just because they're performance enhancing, because they're not healthy for individuals. I don't know whether you've seen any of these bodybuilders. You see them when they're on stage and their physiques are amazing, somewhat over the top. But if you look at what they look like 20 years later, their body, like, Ronnie Coleman can barely walk. He was Mr. Olympia 20 years ago. It's just these things are not healthy for you, and why would we promote this as an event? So I hate to even mention it because I feel like I'm giving it airtime. Don't attend this. Boycott it. I'm on boycott today. This with field events and PED events. I'm boycotting everything.
So I did see a few like pictures and articles of this, and I honestly thought it was just one of those weird like jokes or whatever. Um, so upon initial thought, I'm kind of like, all right, go off, right? Like people want to show, people want to test the limits of whatever. We want to see incredible feats, just like how they talk about cycling. It's like everyone's cheating in cycling, so just do it, right? But then I said initial, my initial thought.
Oh, hold on. That's a weird stance to take. Are you going to stop there, or are you going to continue on and backtrack a little bit?
I'm pedaling it backwards. So yeah, initially I'm kind of, because you know me also, I'm like, let everyone do their thing, leave me alone, do whatever you want. I don't tell people what to do. But then, yeah, like you said, the problem is, I mean, there's lots of problems, right? But the big problem is that they are banned for a reason, not just because of the unfair advantage, right? Like there are negative side effects, there's health risks, all these things. And it's now, if we are creating, this is what our professional athletes are looking like. This is a role model. This is the example, it's just making it even more of a thing that people are, younger people who want to be good at a sport are now doing. And it's just, when it's banned, yeah, like if you want to be good, if you want to become successful, that's not usually the way you're going to go. Eventually, it's going to catch up to you, Lance Armstrong, right? So yeah, I mean, not about that, because it is just going to set some kind of weird standard, weird precedent. Now where it's like, okay, we don't want to watch regular track because everyone's running slower. It's more boring, whatever it is. You know what I mean? That doesn't need to be the aspiration there of, potentially harming your body just because we're allowed to now, right? It just seems bad idea. Let the robots do that or something, we got the robot races. Why not just, if we want to watch people run fast, watch a robot? I don't know. But yeah, I'm not for it. I'm definitely not promoting it, but there was a time where I was kind of just like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, individual freedoms. Again, people, do what they want. But when you create an event that's public, I think there's trickle down theory. It becomes like, well, this is what they're doing, and then, let's do it at this level. Let's do it in high school. Let's youth athletes. Let's start them young because it's been shown that they can grow more muscle this way. I just think it's a bad slippery slope, and maybe that's the boomer in me coming out. But yeah, I'm all against this one 100%. So that's it. That's my 4 or 5 stories for the day.
Wow. All right. Banning javelin, banning field events, banning PEDs. What else is on the list? What do we hate?
More to come.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think in the last episode, we are in summertime, so expect some weird scheduling. We'll have some different kinds of episodes as well, not just news. But yeah, that's all we got, and hopefully we will catch up with you soon. 5 stars, comment, likes. I'll make sure the email address is in the show notes if you ever want to send us any kind of whatever, I don't know, a note, feedback, yell at Jeff for his hate for field events, I don't know, any of the things, but find our email there.